Start recording. Say something.
I got shampoo in my eye, so I can only see out of one.
Perfect. Welcome back, everybody, to Mundane Desperados. In this episode 3
I think so.
of the Premier League Mundane Desperados podcast, we're going to go over the results of Week 11 and talk about the table as it is today, and then talk about Week 13. And you'll be
Whoop,
like,
whoop.
Sean, what happened to Game Week 12?
Sean, what happened to game week 12?
Great question, Cristiane. And Game Week 12 is during the middle of the week, and I'm not that fast at editing. So we're going to go over it a little bit, but not really go too much into it.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was a middle of the week kind of round, and then I looked at my fantasy team, and half of my team isn't playing, so
Yep.
that was great.
Perfect.
Awesome.
So, with that being said, we will start with last week's game, Week 11.
Whoop, whoop.
On Friday, we had Brentford and Brighton. And wouldn't you know, Brentford won 2-0. I'm pretty sure we both had Brighton.
I think so, too.
Yeah, and for a peek behind the curtain, I forgot to put down our guesses,
Predictions.
so we're just gonna guess about our guesses.
You said tie. You said a lot of ties. I remember that.
I did say a lot of ties, but I'm pretty sure we both had Brighton in this game. The Brentford-Brighton game, 2-0. Mr. Tony scored 2 goals, and with those 2 goals, he is in 3rd place in the goal title, 1 goal behind Harry Kane.
Well, have fun in second or third place because you're not getting first.
Yeah. Erling Haaland still at 15, Harry Kane now at 9, Tony at 8, and Alexander Mitrovic at 6, or at 7. And then Firmino and Foden are tied at 6. So it's a pretty tight 2 through 7 really, because then there's 4 players that have 5 that are sitting on 5 goals. This is one game that I watched some of it, and just from the part that I watched, you would have thought Brighton had won. So the stats from the game, Brighton had 72.5% possession. They had 7 shots on target to Brentford's 3. They had 21 total shots to Brentford's 7. And they had 611 passes to Brentford's 235. So this seems like a game that Brentford sort of stole.
Yeah. I mean, all you need is a good shot or 2.
Yeah, all you need is 2. If you have 3 shots on target, but you score 2 of them, then, you're going to win a game. Brentford, just looking at the table now, they are 9th. 1 point behind Brighton, or Brighton and Hove. Yes?
Brighton has played 10 games and Brentford has played 11.
The first game of Saturday, Leicester Crystal Palace.
I think you said a tie for that, and I
think
said
I did say
Crystal Palace.
I think I did say a tie, and it did end 0-0. And that is pretty much all I care about that game.
I don't think anyone watched it.
I don't think anything happened.
Well, either of us watched it. I'm sure others watched it.
I mean, maybe. There were 2 yellow cards for each team. And, yeah, that's, yep. Cool.
Awesome.
Leicester is still in last on 5 points.
Oh, poor Leicester.
And Crystal Palace is now 10th on 13 points. Second game of Saturday was Fulham-Bournemouth. Ended 2-2. This is one of the other ones of the weekend where, okay, it was a game that happened. 2 goals out of both of those teams is sort of surprising. Or actually, no, looking at their stats, Bournemouth has given up 23 goals on the season, Fulham's given up 20 goals on the season. So maybe it's not surprising they both scored 2 goals.
2 goals on each other, even it out, split the point.
Yep. Everybody gets 1. And we move on. The third game of Saturday was Wolverhampton And Nottingham Forest.
I remember I said Wolves for this
And
because of Diego Costa.
you would have been correct.
I'm so smart.
Wolverhampton scored 1, and that was enough to win the game. Wolverhampton won 1-0.
Oh, man.
Both of them still in the relegation zone, but now Wolverhampton is tied with Villa on 9 points and with Leeds on 9 points. Just they have a -9 goal differential. So Nottingham Forest sitting in 6th, or sitting in 19th place with 6 points. I guess the big game of Saturday is the Tottenham-Everton game. Tottenham just sort of, did what they had to do. Yeah. They scored 2 goals in the second half. Harry Kane scored a penalty, and Holberg scored in the 86th minute. From what I watched, Everton, tried their best. Everton only had 4 total shots, 0 shots on target, so pretty comfortable win by Tottenham. Sunday games. First game of the day. Aston Villa and Chelsea. Chelsea's still on their run of Premier League points under Potter. Wins 2-0.
Domination.
Run of points under Potter and won 2-0. Mason Mount scored twice, which is a good thing to see from him. I don't think has had the most stellar of seasons so far.
No.
But those 2 goals gave him goal 1 and 2 on the season.
Nice.
So puts him in the scoring column. Hopefully we'll see a lot more goals coming from him in the future. We also saw Azpilicueta, Kolobe, Gallagher, and Jorginho get subbed on, and Armando Broja as the subs for Chelsea that day. But it was good to see Raheem Sterling back. Played pretty much the entire game, and it was good to see Ben Chilwell be able to get back into the starting lineup. Aubameyang started. He didn't play the entire game. I'm not sure if it's a fitness thing still with him, or if it was him playing in the weekday matches like the Champions League, where his legs were just a little bit heavy, but he was one of the people subbed off. He was subbed off for Conor Gallagher.
Nice. I like Gallagher. He's a fun one to watch.
He is a good player. I don't know if he's quite lived up to the amount that he's getting paid, but hopefully he can pick it up. It's still a lot of season left. He's been playing well when he's on the field, but I think with the amount that Chelsea paid for him, you would expect a little more production out of the goals and assists department.
He's getting there.
He has 1 goal on the season.
He's getting there.
And some less than great news coming out of the Chelsea camp was Reece James and Conte picking up injuries, as well as Fofana. Wesley Fofana expected back December 26th, the same day that Reece James is, and Conte's expected date back is still unknown.
I think they said he's going to be out for like 4 months or something.
Yeah, so that's tough. Those are 3 really good players on the Chelsea squad, especially Conte and James, with how well they've been playing this season so far. The next game of the weekend was Arsenal and Leeds. Arsenal is sort of escaping Leeds with a 1-0 win. This game, surprisingly really good.
But with how Arsenal has been playing, I'm surprised they only won by 1 point.
Yeah, I agree with how dominant Arsenal has looked so far in the games that I've been able to watch them. It is surprising, but Leeds put up a great game. They came out, they played really good defensively. This was the game that a goal was disallowed. Then Leeds got a penalty kick that they missed, and then they got a red card that wasn't a red card, and then got a penalty that ended up not being a penalty. So this game was a little all over the place. It was a really good game to watch as a fan, but I think Leeds a little disappointed they didn't walk out of there with at least a point. Next game was Manchester United and Newcastle. We have a 0-0 tie. Which,
half shocked, half not.
a little surprised.
Because Man United has not been consistent.
No, they have not. Cristiano Ronaldo got the start, got subbed in the 72nd minute for Marcus Rashford, and then sort of your predicted lineup for Newcastle. Newcastle just really stout defensively this year. They play really aggressive. They play really dominant defensively, and then they just seem to score goals.
They want to win.
They did have a moment. Joe Ellington hit, I think it was off of a free kick or a corner kick. Had 2 attempts at a header. One went off the crossbar, and then he had a follow-up header that went off the post, and then someone cleared it out of bounds. And those were the 2 shots on target that Newcastle had. So,
hey, it's a valiant effort.
Next game out of the Sunday slate of games was West Ham and Southampton. Game ended 1-1. Declan Rice scoring his first game of the scoring his first goal of the season for West Ham. Not traditionally known as a goal scorer, but he's always good for a couple a season.
Yeah.
And that is the only note I have on that game. It's
more than I have, so.
The stats sort of even. West Ham had a majority of the possession at 60% to 40%. Southampton had more shots on target, 8-4. And then West Ham had more total shots, 25-10. So West Ham was shooting the ball, just ball wasn't going anywhere close to the goal.
Hey, they try their best.
But, I mean, all these games just sort of a lead up to the game of the weekend.
Oof.
Maybe, so far, game of the season.
Biggest shock of the weekend.
Liverpool City. I said last week when Liverpool lost to Arsenal, but they played really well. So they lost to Arsenal 3-2, but they looked very good during that game. That I wouldn't be surprised if they started going on a run, and then wouldn't you know it, came out against Man City and probably played the best game that they've had played so far this season.
They also came out of like a 7-1 win in the Champions League.
They did, yes.
So they were on a high. But I will say, first half, very boring. Second half of the game is where everything happened.
First half, I don't remember. I don't remember anything from the first half.
They shot on goal. Okay, it's on the other side now. They shot on goal. Okay, now they go on the other side. Like, it was just back and forth. I was like, someone do something else.
I have purged the first half from my memory. Second half, incredible.
Yes.
Especially the last 20, 25 minutes. Around where Salah scored. Also, an assist by Alisson. You don't see goalie assists very often.
Right now.
You don't see goalie assists very often. But it was a great back and forth game in the second half. Jurgen Klopp gets himself a red card for doing Jurgen Klopp things.
Yeah.
But with that win, and the win during the week, which we'll get to, Liverpool, I think, started this week in 10th, finds itself in 7th on 16 points.
Well, good for them.
2 points behind Newcastle and 3 points behind Manchester United. So even though they are 4-4-2, still very much in contention for top 5. And really, I mean, top 4 on the table. There are a lot of games left.
Yeah, a lot of season left.
A lot of season left. Manchester City, in just stat-wise, a little dominant in this game, but Liverpool's defense held off. They played a very good counter-attacking game in the second half. And yeah, walks away with a win. The possession City had 63%, had 6 shots on target, had 900 total touches, and had 700 passes to Liverpool's 400.
It was a good game, but I wish Man City had scored or done something.
I mean, you always sort of expect them to with Haaland on the field.
Hmm
Haaland and Foden on the field. Both of them had been in great form. And I mean, I would say still are in great form. I don't think
Yeah.
this loss takes away from the season that they're having.
hmm
But in this game, with Salah scoring, it's his third goal total of the season and his first goal in 5 games. So a desperately needed goal for Salah, just I'm assuming for confidence and just to see the back of the net for Liverpool fans is a
No,
great
you know
feeling
what
for them.
happened? Is that he heard that I finally took him out of my fantasy league team because I was like, he's not doing anything. And he was like, no, I'm going to show her. And he's finally going to score.
And now he goes on a tear for the rest of the season.
Oh, I'm so angry.
So that's the weekend. Some really good games and some above average games, and then some games that I forgot that happened.
Yep.
Sort of traditional Premier League weekend.
hmm
It's still, I mean, Chelsea moving on under Potter, and then the Liverpool City game, and really the Manchester United Newcastle game, even though it ended 0-0, was a really well contested game.
hmm
Going into week 12, we're not going to dive too far into these games because the week hasn't ended yet, but I just want to touch on some of the games that have table implications. In games today, Chelsea and Brentford played. Brentford? Chelsea and Brentford played. Game ended 0-0. And we were
Yep.
just talking about how well Chelsea played against Villa. Came out completely flat, I felt like, in today's game.
Yeah.
Did not play
I
very well, didn't really have the pep in their step.
yeah. They just didn't seem there fully.
But with that being said, really did pick up the pace, I feel like, when Pulisic came on.
hmm
He brought great energy off of the bench. And then when Raheem Sterling came on, we really looked like we started to click. I think we just didn't have the finish that we were looking for.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Kepa
Oh man, Keppa. Where did this Keppa come from?
really going full like 180 from the past couple seasons. Really
Yeah.
slightly earning that $80 million paycheck. But 5 saves in this game, which brings him in the 4 games that he's played so far this season to a total of 16 saves
Jeez.
and 3 clean sheets. I mean, a
I
lot
think
of that is in conjunction with the defense. Defensively, we have also been playing very well, but Kepa doing a fantastic job. 7 saves during the Villa game.
damn. I think Potter has also come out and said that he prefers Keppa over Mendy,
That'll be interesting.
which is a bold statement, but sure.
Well, you also have to imagine that sort of have to give the guy gas who's playing right now and playing
Yeah.
spectacularly well.
hmm
I don't know what that means when Mendy is able to come back, if that continues, but
Yeah.
as of right now, yeah, Kepa looks like the guy.
hmm
He's been playing really well in the Champions League. He's been playing really well in the Premier League matches. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that goalie controversy when Mendy's finally available to play again.
Yeah. I'd
No
be very
real table
curious.
implications for this. With a draw, Chelsea stays in 4th, but Brentford stays in 9th. So, but it's one of the games that I watched during the week, so we
Yeah.
talked about it.
It's the one game that I watched during the week, so.
Big table implications. Liverpool playing today, beating West Ham 1-0. Darwin Nunez scored, and then I guess nothing really. A bunch of subs in the second half. But it'll be interesting to see if Liverpool keeps their two forward formation. Usually only playing with one in Firmino, but this game playing with Firmino and Nunez up top, and it seemed to be working out for him. I didn't
Mhm.
watch all of the game, I just watched some of the highlights, but they seem to be playing really coherent and really well. Um,
Yeah.
only had 53% of possession, so didn't dominate the game as much, but hey, a win's a win. Get out of there with 3 points.
Yeah.
Another game from today was Newcastle and Everton. Newcastle continuing their run with a 1-0 win. Keeps Newcastle in 6th, drops Everton down to 15th. So Everton's still struggling a little bit. 3 straight losses finds them sitting on 10 points. Newcastle, out of their last 5, 3 wins and 2 draws, has them on 18 points.
Hmm.
And then the final game of today was the Manchester United and Tottenham game. So there is a bit of a controversy with Ronaldo walking off the sideline. He didn't start, he didn't play, and then just excused himself with about 20 minutes left.
He's like, I'm done now. I'm
Yep.
gonna go.
Fred and Bruno Fernandes saw themselves as the goal scorers. Jadon Sancho with an assist on Fred's goal. I like Jadon Sancho, so it's good to see him getting some playing time. He's been relegated to the bench the past few games. It's good to see some of those players start to get some playing time. This is the second consecutive game that he's played, and starting to get some minutes and some looks, and hopefully he keeps on scoring and getting active in the offense. Looking at the stats, in possession, pretty closely contested. Uh, Manchester United did have 10 shots on goal to Tottenham's 2, so taking advantage of the opportunities that they had. Yeah, that's sort of it for the week of games.
Mhm.
The slate ends with Fulham and Villa and Leicester and Leeds, which are 2 games that are definitely going to happen.
We hope
We hope.
it's gonna happen.
Well,
Yeah, something could happen.
something could happen. And then the weekend slate of games, we have on Saturday Liverpool and Nottingham Forest.
I mean, Liverpool's gonna win.
I think Liverpool is going to win. Liverpool finds himself on good form, coming off 2 straight wins, and in their last 5, 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. So they're probably going to. I think they keep this form up for the next few games because they play Nottingham Forest this week, then they play Leeds, and then they have a tough game against Tottenham. But at least against Nottingham Forest and Leeds, I think we see a different Liverpool team.
Mhm.
Next game of the weekend, we have Everton and Crystal Palace. Right now, Crystal Palace finds itself in 10th on with 13 points, and Everton finds themselves in 15th, 10 points.
I'm gonna say a tie.
I want to say a tie as well. Everton coming off 3 straight losses to Manchester United, Tottenham, and Newcastle. Crystal Palace coming off a win against Leeds, a draw against Leicester, and then a win against Wolverhampton. So I can see a tie coming from that.
Mhm.
The next game is City and Brighton. I would hate to be the team that plays City after 1-0 loss against Liverpool, but
Yep.
Brighton has
Someone
earned
has
that
to do it.
distinction. Someone
So
someone has to dive on that grenade.
have fun.
Yep, good luck. I don't think there's any way City doesn't win that game by
No.
anything less than 3 goals.
Yeah.
They're going to come out hunting for goals. I could be surprised. You never know. That's what makes the Premier League so fun, but I don't see it in the cards for Brighton this week.
Yeah. Sorry.
Especially after just tying Nottingham Forest and then losing to Brentford. I think they may struggle a little bit. Then probably the biggest game of the weekend, we have Chelsea and Man United to close out the Saturday games.
I'm leaning towards a tie, but I want to say Chelsea because Chelsea.
I think a tie would be a good result for Chelsea,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, you always want to win, especially
Yeah,
against
I
Manchester
know.
United.
Yeah,
And I
especially
think,
against this Manchester United too.
yeah, but points wise, Chelsea fourth, Manchester United fifth. Nothing's really changed there. Chelsea on 20 points, Manchester United on 19 points. So a big game for this early in the table. Whoever wins gets fourth. If we tie, it stays as it is. But I'm gonna say Chelsea's gonna win, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw.
Mm-hmm. Same.
I think Chelsea's playing with some pretty good energy, minus today's game when they came out a little flat against Brentford.
Mm-hmm.
Brentford. I can't.
Brentford.
Why is that so hard to say?
No.
But hopefully the players pick it up. I mean, if you can't get yourself hyped for a game against Manchester United, should be playing in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So hopefully they come out on the front foot, playing really aggressive attacking football, and just sort of see what happens. First game on the Sunday slate, we have Villa and Brentford. There we go. I did it!
Yay!
Villa right now sitting in 17th with 9 points, coming off 2 draws and a loss. And Brentford sitting in 9th on 14 points, coming off a loss, a win, and a draw. The draw being against Chelsea. I'm going to go with a draw. I can see this game ending
Yeah,
0-0 or 1-1.
I agree.
Because Brentford +1 in the goal differential, Aston Villa -6, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw. Next up game, Leeds and Fulham. Leeds right now sitting in 16th on 9 points as well. Fulham sitting in 12th on 12 points. Fulham coming off of 2 losses and a draw. Leeds coming off a draw and 2 losses. So, same record in the past 3 games. I will also say a draw. So far, Sunday,
Yeah,
lots of
not
draws.
very exciting.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Okay, 2
Yeah,
draws.
yeah.
Next game up, Southampton and Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Arsenal. I think Arsenal continues their run. Right now,
Yeah.
they are first on 27 points. They are now 4 points clear of City. They have won 4 consecutive games against some decent opponents. They beat Brentford 3-0. They beat Tottenham 3-1. They beat Liverpool 3-2, and they just beat Leeds 1-0. So I think Arsenal continues their good run, and it's not. I don't think it's going to look good for Southampton. The games to end that time block is Wolves and Leicester. Really a game, again, to try to get out of the relegation zone, or Leicester's case, tried to help them get out of the relegation zone. Wolverhampton
I'm
sitting in 18th on 9 points, and Leicester sitting last right now at 20th with 5 points.
I'm gonna say Wolves again.
I'm also going to say Wolves again. As much as it pains me to do so, I do enjoy watching Leicester play. They're just having a rough go of it right now. Their last 5 games is a loss to Brighton, a loss to Tottenham. They beat Nottingham Forest, and then a loss to Bournemouth, and then a draw to Crystal Palace. Wolverhampton, not particularly much better. A loss to City, a loss to West Ham, a loss to Chelsea, and they also beat Nottingham Forest, and then a loss to Crystal Palace.
Hmm.
So both teams sort of struggling to find form. As you said, maybe the introduction to Diego Costa gave Wolverhampton a little shot in the arm. It's not like they have a poor squad. They
Yeah.
still have Ruben Neves, they still have Coutinho, they have Nunez, they have Pedro Neto, Raul Jimenez is still there. He hasn't played as much as you would have expected him to play. Traore is still there, and now they have Diego Costa. So you expect them to be better than you're seeing so far.
Hmm.
And maybe this is the game that kicks that off.
Hopefully.
Because if Wolverhampton wins, they are out of the relegation zone. If Leicester wins, I mean, they're still in the relegation zone, but just higher up in the relegation zone.
Not as bad.
Last game for Sunday, we see, which now, surprisingly, gonna surprise myself to say, a pretty big game of Tottenham and Newcastle. Right now, Tottenham sits in third on 23 points, and Newcastle sits in sixth with 18 points. And more surprisingly, Tottenham with a plus 10 goal differential, Newcastle with a plus 9 goal differential. And Newcastle still the only team to have given up single-digit goals. I think I'm going to go for shock value. I'm going to go with Newcastle.
To be different, I'm going to say Spurs.
Tottenham did just lose to Manchester United. Newcastle did just beat Everton. So two different levels of competition, but maybe getting in their heads a little bit, playing on a short week after winning or losing. But it's going to be an exciting game, I think.
I'm going to say tie.
Okay, tie, yeah. I think Newcastle's defense has proven that it's good enough to keep some of these big teams from scoring at will. And I think Tottenham, even though they've scored a lot of goals this season, they seem to struggle with scoring goals against some of the better teams. Because when they played Arsenal, they lost 3-1. And then when they played Manchester United, they lost 2-0. So I think Newcastle's defense is going to be able to hold their shape and find their form enough to maybe only give up one and then hope their offense can turn it around and score a couple. But that's surprising, especially after the last time Newcastle had a Premier League season. I think a little surprising saying that this is going to be an exciting game.
Yeah.
And then to round out the weekend of games for Week 13, have West Ham and Bournemouth. West Ham right now sitting in 13th on 11 points. Bournemouth sitting in 11th with 13 points. I'm going to go with the tie. I don't think there's going to be much in this game. West Ham have only given up 12 goals so far this season, but have only scored 9 goals. Bournemouth have scored 10 goals, but have also given up 23 goals. So, both coming off a loss. Bournemouth to Southampton, West Ham to Liverpool. So, I wouldn't be surprised if both teams are happy to take away a tie from this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the weekend of games.
Yay.
I know we rushed this week a little bit, just because there are so many games to go through with having Week 12 be the middle of the week games. A few really exciting games coming up in Week 13. I think Chelsea Manchester United's going to be fun. I think Spurs Newcastle's going to be a fun watch. Anything that we missed?
I don't think so. Go Chelsea.
Go Chelsea.
Thanks for listening. If you liked or didn't like anything we said, comment below, like, subscribe. I'll see y'all next week.
Cristiane with the outro. Bye-bye.
Bye.